once the cluster's out, you can just change the bulbs for like these super 360-degree LEDs. This is red, gives it a nice effect. Alright, so I had made this little LED thing, which I used to do on all my other Evos, basically, because there's 3 big ones, and then there was a small one. Like the top section, the top half of the cluster here was always missing a little bit of light, but with those 360-degree LEDs, it pretty much covers the whole cluster, and it looks fucking sick. Gotta admit, that is sick. Alright, so I started wiring up the gauges. The boost gauge is already wired up. I just gotta put another bolt here to hold this in. Right here. This one's actually plugged in, wired up and everything, so like, no. That's how they are. Right. The steering is a bit small actually, I really don't like it. It came with the car. I'll see if I put the other steering wheel in. It's a little damaged here, but I mean, so anyways, you'll have a nice bright boost gauge. You'll have the dash in the back, and then these will be right here on the dash. It'll light up. Just turn the key off. So you're gonna have oil temp, which I don't have a sensor for it right now. Oil pressure, which is the sensor here, but I don't know if it's gonna work, so gotta pass that. And then for here, I suggest like an AEM wideband, or like a, yeah, definitely a wideband. I don't care what mark, but AEM is the best. Wideband, just to see and make sure the engine is running good all the time. And yeah, definitely, I wouldn't like this steering wheel. It's like, I can't even see the dash. I have to look over. It's not, I don't like it. Because this is supposed to like fit right in the circle so you can still see the speed, and right now I can't. To do that, you have to lift the steering wheel all the way normally, have it nice and tight, and then like it's just far enough for it to contour. Yeah, it's not like, I hate the steering wheel. I'll put the other one even though it's a little damaged. This one's way too small. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Fog light switch. Still gotta fix this in. But yeah, it's coming along. Alright, so these are the little lights for the dash control. The lights were burnt, and I already had a bunch of little LEDs. So as you can see, I removed the lights. I have these LEDs with a it's a little diode here, so it can work with cars with 12 volts. What I start off by doing is inside there you can see the little pins. I grab a little mini screwdriver. I push out the pins, so basically they become like that. And like I've shown you before, once the pins are out, I use my drill to open up the hole. I'm going to try and show you guys. Okay, so once the hole is drilled, I just pass the lead, as you can see, I pass it in there, just so it's sticking there, and then I put a piece of tape on the other side to keep it from going in and out. So once all the lights are installed, as you can see, we still have the lights there. As you can see now, the little thing lights up. Oh, it's barely visible, but at night it'll be very visible. Even the middle section here lights up, which is pretty good. You have the little light in this thing that lights up. And you also have your cigarette thing, which I don't smoke, but you have your thing in there. Got your change bucket, if you will. That lights up. So yeah. And that's how I put lights in that shit. Looks good. So once you're done, you got something like this. Turn on the lights. You got there, light here. You got light in there. Turn on the car, the radio. Oh, I put on the flasher. Oh, my flashers work. Sweet. Radio works. Got the gauges. So the way I got the gauges set up is they're super bright. And then when you turn on the lights, they dim for at night so they don't blind you. So everything lights up, everything is good. This is for the fog light switch. That one lights up red too. So it's pretty sick, especially when everything's red. Woo! I think it's good. And yeah, you got the two speakers in the back. 1, 2. If you want, you can put yourself a little plate there. That's the third brake light, which they don't have on this car normally. And your two other speakers are right here. Basically, white is positive and just blue is negative. So set that up. So there you go. So you got the white is positive and just blue is negative. So you just set up your two speakers, fold that back in, put the two bolts, and that's your front speakers. There's one there and one on the other side where the other wire is. So the dash is pretty much done. I also installed gotta lube it up, but it's all sticky with coffee. This is a GSR only. They only have this in GSR. So this and this is out of a GSR. I'm pretty good because like I got the fan to work on all speeds. Last time I got the car all together, rear-wheel drive NA, before I tuned it myself. It would only work on the highest speed. So I'm just putting in the new steering wheel, which is bigger, and you can definitely see like over it for the speed without actually really, forcing yourself. The gauge gets less bright when you turn on the other lights. So at night, boom, you can see the 120, which is very important. Boom. And close the key. Alright guys, so this is a 1993 to 1999 Saturn 1.9 dual overhead cam alternator. The EVO alternator is not working. So this is a popular mod, reason being it's a lot higher amperage. It's almost bolt-on. There's normally these grooves right here. I already grounded them down just so it would be flat. So it actually clears the block now. From what I've read, this is a 4-plug system right here, which you don't even need to actually plug anything, since it's a self-exciting alternator. So here, just install the power wire and you're done. And you just need to ground one little thing on the block. So out with the old, in with the new. Okay, so take number 2 on Saturn Alternator number 2. The first one was fried. Now I got the actual pigtail. Need to get a Benson Auto. 1655. Not too bad. Part number standard, whatever, S604. This one came with a plug. This one only had 2 wires, not the wires I need. This one has the 4. I'll only be using, I think, 1, which would be this one here, the big red one. Because L here is the brown with red is the lamp, the idiot light, which I don't really need. F is ECU, field, and P, pulse. So I only need the big red one, supposedly, on the 12 source ignition. Or they say I can also just loop it to this. We'll see whatever works. Alright, so thanks to Jay's Racing, they actually have a write-up on how to install this. And all you need is the L and F. F is the field wire, which works on a 12-volt switch, and then you got the L, which is your light, your idiot light. So the red one does not need to be plugged in because they come with 3, and then this is the pulse, which does not need to be used at all. So they say it's recommended to run on a 12 switch ignition source, F on the alternator,
wire to the alternator rather than to use a 12-volt constant found on 2G cars. The Saturn Alternator will cause a small but constant drain on the alternator. Even with the key switch. Okay, so basically it'll just drain your battery. To prevent this, guys tap into the fuel pressure regulator solenoid. 12-volt wire on the firewall. Instead, to run this alternator, terminal F. Good. Let's go do that. And it gives me a good 14 and a half, 1420 volts.
The battery light is not on. I'm pretty sure I hooked it up properly. Let's see here. Yeah, because when I was putting in the shade here, like this, put in my hand, it was very faint red. I also modified this because the guy didn't want to have the gauge in the middle, so I changed the gauge pod. This one has no holes. It just needs to be washed. I'll let him do that. I took out the dash from the drift car. Still got the glove compartment to install. Yeah, so heating this works good. So far, I haven't had any problems. I got air popping out of here. Dash needs to be clean. It's full of dust. It's been in the drift car for like 3 years. Yeah, pretty happy. Everything's running good. Got the battery in the back. I just got to put the circuit breaker back up there so it's not in harm's way. And yeah, looking good. Looking real good. It's kind of cold today, that's why it's kind of smoky. I have to find a tail light. A little bulb in there that's blown. And the front headlight. I got a ball back from the shed I gotta go get. I guess I could drop this down now. Well, that was fun. Blinker, that one works. Blinker works. That one works too. I have to hook up the front flashers with the rear flashers. That one works. Gotta take this putty off. And this one we can't really see. It works. Great. Front flasher works. Those are the high beams. That's the fog lights. That light and that light seem to have a burnt bulb. Even this one's gone its way out. It's a little less bright. This one needs a low beam. I could get that at the store. Flash is working the front on this side. Rear flasher, fog light. Rear light, flasher. I'm gonna try and put this on my garbage can so it doesn't fall. Not a good idea. What on this? Brake light. Okay, so I'm redoing the seat brackets just to make it lower, because as you can see, that seat can adjust height a bit. If you put it right here, you can see can't really see how much higher it is, but this seat was actually much higher before. As you can see, this is almost flat here, whereas before it had like a good 1.5 inches. And now there's actually leg room here for your knees. I'm just trying to adjust the seat as much as possible, have it as level as possible. Ryan va être jaloux parce que j'ai pas laissé conduire.
You phoned me? Huh? You should have told me before I walked right in front of you.
Can you hear those crickets? So anyways, I got the alternator finally fucking running. Problem was my power wire. Alright, Ryan's texting me. The power wire right here at the bottom, the connector was loose. Well, like the crimp connector, whatever. So I said, fuck you, you piece of fucking shit. So I went to fucking Walmart, got $40 of new wire. The wire goes from there, underneath here, goes on top, through here. And this is the passenger footwell. And it goes to, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can. This here is the circuit breaker. The circuit breaker then connects to another wire. It goes all the way to the top of that. Right there. At the top. So basically the same thing as going inside the, going to the back with the battery, but it's much shorter. And everything was going good, and it kept popping the circuit breaker, the 80 amp circuit breaker. So I decided to change the. Oh, I also want to show you something. Show you guys something. This is locked, unlocked. So you lock it. Right. Oh, never mind then. Maybe it's those Dodge Colt doors. Normally. Just want to test it out again. Lock it. Okay. I guess you don't have to do that on a Dodge Colt. Let's see if it works with this one. Oh, okay. Well, on the Evo doors, you have to hold this open like a Honda Civic when you close the door. But it doesn't look like you have to do that on the Dodge Colt doors. Okay. Okay. So yeah, new alternator. Yeah, I kept popping the 80 amp fuse because the Saturn Alternator is a 90 amp to 105 amp, depending the voltage it's sending. Evo Alternator is 70 or 75 amp, and the DSM Alternator is 60 amp. So these ones are $50, which as the DSM ones are a lot more expensive. And that's the reason why I put that alternator. So to wire it up, the way I did it for the connector is the F-wired field goes to a 12 volt source ignition. Now, I couldn't find 12 volt source ignition on that, so I just ran a wire to the radio 12 volt switch. That worked. And the L to the lamp switch, which was the small wire on the alternator harness before. And that's it. Because the big wire on the alternator harness went to the alternator relay, which would send current to turn it on, but it's the same thing as putting switch ignition. And yeah, found one of these. What else? I gave it a quick wet sand and a little buff. If you wanted to make it even more perfect, you can, you know, buff it more there. But like, I got most of the imperfections that were bothering me. But yeah, looks good. So that's that.